Welcome to He Said, She Said Razor Branding Podcast with Michael Russo and Jaci Russo. To learn more about how to improve your brand, visit brandRUSSO.com.
Welcome to He Said, She Said Razor Branding Podcast. Michael, your smirk. Oh my gosh. You know what? I think we should have you start doing the introductions. Why don't you do it the way you think it should be done? Give me some direction. Show me by your example.
You're doing fine. You're doing fine.
Then stop mocking.
I'm not.
And judging and somewhat criticizing. It's okay. It's all right. I'm going to be fine. I'll overcome it. So for those of you who've just joined us, we're a podcast that talks to marketers about marketing. And so I'm assuming you're a marketing person, and I hope you enjoy this conversation, and feel free to check out some of our other episodes as well, because this is kind of all we talk about all the time. Our guest today, Wendy, who comes from Prairie Capital Advisors, really, I think, kind of opened the door a little bit on how she uses conferences and trade shows, which was helpful. We talk a good bit about staffing, and, you know, she went from a team of none to almost half a dozen, which is great. And I think they've really stayed on the cutting edge of marketing, including a recent rebrand. And I thought the whole conversation was just really good insight into how in-house marketers are getting it done.
Absolutely.
You were a man of few words throughout, and I see that as continuing with this introduction.
No, it was good. Yeah, it's one of those mornings where I have like so much. All I can see is the emails ticking on the right side of my screen.
You need to close that when we do these.
I know. I get notified. But no, it was a very interesting conversation. Yeah, and I think it was the way that they process what they do in terms of, you know, they understand who they are, what they do. I always thought about what was the thing. I'm not just a client, but I'm a member. Like they
American Express.
Yeah, but they do.
No, Hair Club for Men.
That's what it was. Yeah, yeah. And they don't want to borrow on that. But the fact that what they're doing is what they are. You know, the fact that they are an employee-owned company that is selling and providing those services for that is very interesting. And the fact that they, you know, like every question we had, there was a very clean answer for it. You know, like she has a good understanding of who they are.
She's on top of her game. You can tell.
Yeah, what they do, how they do it, who their audience is, how they're reaching them. It wasn't like I'm searching for answers. It was, yeah, I have a good fix on this. So, yeah, it's somebody that I think is worth, if you're in that business, to talk to, and she does a good job of representing them.
Right. No, I agree. And what I loved about the whole conversation is that she's not reactive. She's very clear-cut, methodical, and strategic, and analyzes every tactic for, is it working for us? How's it working for us? Is it worth continuing to do? And it's a lot of work. That's not easy, but boy, does that pay off dividends, because it means you're spending your resources, time, energy, money in the right way.
Well, and it's a topic that at first glance could be like, oh God, this is not going to be exciting. But when you dig into it, though, it's very emotional. We talk about people and their businesses when it comes time to sell them and move on to something. It's a huge decision in everybody's business life. And the fact that how they tackle that has to be done a certain way, I think, you know?
Yeah. I loved it. I thought it was great. I felt like we are really you know, cracking the nut when it comes to professional service, marketing, and especially such different audiences. You know what? I'm going to let y'all listen, because I think it's a great conversation and you're going to enjoy it. When the day is through. Wendy, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm so glad you're here. I'd like to start with maybe just a quick introduction, if you want to tell the people kind of who you are and what you do.
Sure. I'm Wendy Gugora. I am the marketing director at Prairie Capital Advisors. We are a boutique investment banking firm. We call each other ownership transition specialists. We help business owners with the next step in their business, whether it's transitioning to selling their company to a third party or to sell to an ESOP, which is employee stock ownership plan, something that we are leaders and specialists in the industry.
I have so many questions about so many of the things you just said, but none of them have to do with marketing. You know, I'm at the stage in my career where I'm thinking 2 steps ahead. And so I'm always, so I'm absorbing information of, is it ESOP? Is it this transition? Is it that transition? So I may schedule a consultation later. That's a whole different topic though.
Sure.
But in thinking about the marketing, so you joined Prairie Capital Advisors as the sole marketing professional, and you're now managing a team of 4. What were some of those growing pains? Because, when we talk to a lot of the in-house marketing directors through this podcast, they're sometimes teams of 1 or 2. Sometimes they get to be teams of 4 or 5. Every once in a while, we've had somebody who's like a team of 200. And I'm thinking, how'd you get in here? Like, you have resources, go away. This is for people without resources. So what were those growing pains like? How did you decide what the right number is and who does what? And because as people look to build their team, they really, I think, are working overtime to try to justify that investment to the C-suite.
Sure. Well, I did start as a sole marketer, and at that point in time, I did everything, which was a good place to start because as I grow, I kind of know what the other team members are doing and can jump in and help out whenever necessary. It has been several years since I've grown my team, so they are now learning things that I know nothing about, which is really the goal. I need to be focusing on more high level initiatives. So I'm really happy with the team I have today. But getting where we are today, I really didn't have any challenges with the C-suite. I work for an amazing employee-owned firm. They support marketing. They know marketing is extremely important to the business that we do and the growth of the firm. So I think they knew that I needed help in every step of the way. Our most recent hire, we did ask for just because we needed more bandwidth in our business development area to reach some larger firm initiatives. So C-level has been extremely supportive of the marketing team and the growth that we had. So I had no challenges there. I would say the challenge with growing a team is just managing people and getting them to where they need to be. And then I would have somebody come in and quit. And I'm like, no. And then you have to start from scratch. And I know all leaders have that challenge when managing the team, but very fortunate today. I have a really strong team and I think they're all staying with me for the long haul. So I hope, because we are a strong machine right now.
Fingers crossed. We just lost half our listeners who are like, what? I want that. I'm out. I want to hear about problems and pain. I don't want to hear somebody's got it good. But it's okay. I'm happy
the
for you.
pain was people coming in right where I need them to be to hand off a big initiative. And then they're like, I'm sorry, I'm going to go somewhere else. And no, that was the pain. Yes, for sure. So I've been through many of those. And it is rewarding to train people and get them up to speed and see them grow and provide them opportunity for growth. And just seeing that they're not taking that baton and running with it and they wanted to go somewhere else. So that is a huge pain. So hopefully the listeners will come back because I think we've all been there.
Well, it's a challenge because really in a team that size, the only true level up is your job and you're not going anywhere. And so to be able to provide opportunities for growth for them in their careers, it is a move to somewhere else typically so they could get a title bump or a raise or new responsibilities or lead their own team. And that's a challenge in a smaller company or a smaller team within a company because it's like you want to encourage and nurture them. And nobody really sticks around for 40 years on a gold watch anymore. So marketing has challenges when it comes to that.
Yes. I try to support them as much as possible to make sure they're getting what they need for sure.
Right. No, and Michael takes it personally. He hates it when people leave.
I do. And it's really part of it is, like you said, you invested this time and you depend on them. Basically, you depend on that happening. Like, hey, I can depend on this happening and I don't have to do it from a senior level. It's like now I have to go figure it out. And we've been through that. We've been around we just celebrated our 25th year of agency life. And so we've had cycles of different teams and staffs here. And it does happen, but trying to get a certain standard in place where they can easily onboard and kind of like, this is how we do things. And I want you to bring what you bring to the table, but at the same time, adhere to, our way of thinking sometimes, because, we've gotten this far. We want to keep doing things a certain way as well as bring new things into the table. So yeah, it's always a challenge.
I've gotten thicker skin and I've gotten smarter on the onboarding, as you mentioned. I feel like I'm pretty pretty advanced in the onboarding now because of the experience that I've had.
It's never good when you have that much experience onboarding and offboarding people. It's like, oh yeah, I've mastered this skill, but I didn't want to have to get the scar to make me good at that thing. It's a double-edged sword for sure, for sure.
Well, we interviewed somebody the other day, and I keep bringing this up because I thought it was really interesting. They had on their website, they had an alumni section. And I've never seen a company do that. And it spoke to so many things. It was nice that they could have that. And it was mainly alumni, like senior level type things, but to where people would, because when you think about it, you are if you somebody who comes on with you in any sector, in any division, you are training them, you are teaching them, they are learning from you. And then when they move on, it's like they're graduating. If you look at it that way, they're graduating to something else and they're taking that with them. And hopefully there is a pride in what they left behind and the work they did. They left it hopefully better than when they found it. And if there can be that relationship, then it's a much nicer way of looking at it. Some way I've never looked at it before, but I thought about it like the people that have been with us in the past. It's like, well, yeah, we're part of that journey for them, and hopefully it was a good journey. Hopefully we helped them get to whatever level they wanted to be at.
That's awesome.
You brought it up a couple of times, Michael. Is that something you're thinking about doing for us in our 25th year? Is it time?
No.
No.
No. No.
So you think it's a good idea for other people?
Well, I think if for certain businesses, I think it's really cool because it endorses them in a way, and they were like, well, people come back to us sometimes and people, have that relationship open to where we're working in the same industry bubble. And so we have people out there speaking highly about us, and hopefully you leave people in that regard. Sometimes, things don't end the way you want them to, and they end badly somehow because somebody's unhappy or because you're unhappy with them. But if it ends well and it's just a transition, then you can use that to your advantage over time, hopefully.
I think it's a good thing. I like the alumni idea. I can tell you're not sold on it. I'm going to talk into it later because I think it's good. So, Wendy, one of the things that I think are probably the most challenging for most marketers is messaging. Truly understanding who your target audience is and what message they need to hear. And you are in the unenviable position of talking about something that most people don't know or fully understand: ESOPs. I mean, that's complicated. And so, if you're not in the financial services industry, if you don't have expertise and knowledge in that area, it sounds so foreign. And most entrepreneurs kind of came by it accidentally, and now they've built up this business and maybe they're ready to sell and they don't even know that's an option out there. So all of that to say, how do you overcome that initial knowledge gap, not fall victim to the education? If I could just teach them what we do, because people don't want to be educated or taught. They want to be emotionally connected to and inspired. So how do you do that with a somewhat dry topic?
Yeah, so our strategy is thought leadership and education. So we offer over 20 webinars a year on ownership transition topics, ESOPs being a strong part of it. And then we understand that people consume content differently. So we have a 2-minute video on what is an ESOP. We've written a couple books. Not me personally. We have some people on our research team that are really good at writing books. So we have one for once you become an ESOP, what happens next? But then we just wrote one that we interviewed 16 of our clients and said, why did this strategy work for you and how is it today? So we're doing a storytelling. We do storytelling in a lot of what we do because business owners, this is something, a lot of times this transition is once in their career. So it is very foreign to them on where to go and what to do. So we offer very consultative, not salesy. We educate on what those alternatives by finding out their goals and objectives and then seeing where the conversation goes. We really don't go in and say, you need to sell your company. We're more like, hey, let's find out your situation. What are your goals? Here are some alternatives. Where would you like to go from here?
Right. I love that. And one of the things that I love about it, I made the comment about education because I think what you're doing though is different than educating them, which I think often is speaking at people. Thought leadership and informing and helping and providing the knowledge that I need, when I need it, where I need it, that's very different than educating. I think that's good marketing. And so kudos to you all for doing that. One of the things that I've read a lot about ownership transitions is that the majority of the time, the owner will get cold feet kind of at the 11th hour. It's like, what am I going to do if this is my identity? What am I going to do when this isn't my place where I go every day? And so speak to that a little bit, because I would imagine that factors into your marketing to some degree in terms of how you help people see a future for themselves without their job, which has consumed 90% of their energy for 30 or 40 years.
Yeah, we assimilate it to it's their baby. They've grown this business and it's like a child and how to step away. And it's a lot of consulting and conversation and having them talk to other business owners that have gone through it. And, from the ESOP side of the things, like in any transition, you don't have to leave the room. You can still be part of the business. A lot of business owners stay on as like a consultative role. They need that office to go to every day. But if they're around and they'll see the management team they put in place doing a good job, they need to have that feeling of, I don't need to do it anymore. They've taken the reins, they're successful, and then now I can walk away. So there is a lot of that within the transitions that we do, is having that fear of what is going to happen after that. And it's just part of the process. And that's really, again, us sharing stories, getting them in touch with other business owners that have gone through this. But it's really a personal change that people have to overcome. Like a kid going away to college, you got to let them go.
But it's hard. That's a hard thing to do because so much of the identity, not just like where an owner goes every day, but it's the being needed. It's the amount of time and space and identity that's tied up in it. And so I love that y'all know that that's something you've got to work towards to make sure you're helping with transition, not just financially, but emotionally and psychologically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And if you've reached that point in your career, then obviously you have a deeper investment than most. Like if you're at the point where you're talking about selling, moving on, you've been ingrained in that business. Like you've been knee deep in it all. You weren't just a casual observer and decided, oh, now it's time to move on. Like you are probably the founder. You're probably the person that was there day to day. You're probably way invested more than anybody would ever imagine.
Yeah, for sure. I think when we talk about marketing, and target audience segmentation, which is, I think, so important to the whole thing going successfully. And I'm not looking for trade secrets, I'm just curious about your process. What's your process to identify who is a good potential for you, and how do you identify them, connect with them, kind of bring them into the funnel, as it were?
Sure. We have a couple different strategies for that. Where there's some industries that are strong in ownership transition or even an ESOP transition. So we kind of do some database research and do some email marketing and targeting that list. We also do a lot of conferences. So again, with industry or where those business owners are, we try to speak at conferences that they can hear us and talk about ownership transition and get them thinking about, wow, I should really talk to someone or talk to Prairie about what's next for me. So we do, again, it's education to those business owners through conferences. So it's, digging deep into email marketing, database building, and conferences. We do a lot with SEO, which has built a lot of incoming leads from our website, which has been extremely valuable for us. So just kind of fine tuning the Google searches and what people to find us. That's been really helpful as well.
Right. No, that's great. And I'm sure that you're starting to see some of those disruptions in the force that so many of us are between SEO, which has been working really well, and now AIO or AEO or GEO or whatever anybody wants to call it today. I go with AIO. So have you started to plan for that? Are you starting to see results from that?
We do get leads from ChatGPT, which is interesting. And we do have a marketing firm that helps us with this, and they've got their finger on the pulse and really doing some research on that and my own team, because as a business, we're expanding on AI and finding out how AI can help us not only in the marketing team, but in other aspects of the business. And many of our team members will go into chat and do their own, like, give me the top 10 investment banking firms in Chicago, and they want to make sure that we're on the list.
Right.
And they always send me the results. Oh my gosh, we're ranked number 1 or ranked number 2 or whatever. And so we're ranking in ChatGPT and AI tools that, again, I feel like it's built from Google and the SEO. I think it's all talking together, but it is such a new technology for everyone that I think we're all still figuring it out.
Right. Hey, pro tip, have your people do it from not their account, not their computer.
Oh, just random, like incognito.
Right. Because even their ChatGPT account, though, because their chat account knows where they work.
Oh.
And so and it wants to serve and it wants to please. And so you got to do it from somebody else's account and somebody else's device for it to truly be a real result. So just a little pro tip.
Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, our AI tools want to make us happy. And so it's going to give us the answer that it thinks we want. And so you want to have a real unbiased answer from somebody who hasn't spent time on your website talking about your company and kind of prepping it, So just something to think about.
I was curious, like in your business, though, it seems like how many repeat clients do you have? Because if once they go through the process and they sell their business, they may open another business and may come back to you. But it seems like once you land them, it's kind of like, hey, we're going to finish this and then we have to move on to the next thing. Is there a continuation of services or things that come into play?
Well, on the ESOP side of our business, there is repeat business because there is, not to get too technical, there's 2 sides of the transaction. Once you become an ESOP company, you need an annual valuation, which Prairie provides. So if we're on that side of the table, we have that annuity. We have that continued business every year. Also with those clients, they go through different needs throughout the years that are services that we provide. So on the ESOP side of the table, yes, we do have recurring clients. Now, on the true ownership transition, if they sell a business, we have had a couple of situations where they know who we are. We did an ESOP transaction for a company, and then down the road, they sold their business to a third party. So that was a repeat business, with two different transitions. But it was obviously due to the relationship that we had and the work that we did that they came back to us and asked us to sell once again in a different transaction. So it does happen on the M&A side of the table with relationships we have and certain situations, but not as much as on the ESOP side of the table, to answer your question.
Yeah. No, but and I love that because, good question, Michael. Marketing tries not to be a one and done endeavor. And so, Wendy, it's great that you all have, even if it's only on one side, you've got the opportunity to continue the relationship and build from there, because I think, that's how you grow a business, and marketing needs to contribute to that. Do you do the annual evaluation of marketing just like you sell your annual evaluation of the company? Is that something you do for yourselves, or does your agency help with that?
I evaluate everything that we do post event. So for example, we were at a large conference last week. We had obviously the conference activities, plus we had a client event that we opened up to prospects this year. So that was a change that we implemented after the event last year. Why don't we invite prospects next year? So we're continuously asking, how did it go? How can we make it better? Is this something we should continue? Was it worth the money? Everything that we do, we evaluate it, because I don't want to keep doing something just because we've done it. I want to make sure that it's meeting our goals. So in everything marketing, I try to ask those questions to the people that are involved. And, did we get the right people at this event to help you build your business, your client relationships, your partner relationships? Did we build the brand? So we ask all those questions in every large initiative that we do.
That's good. That's really good. It's amazing to me, the people that don't. And I'm thinking, how do you know if it's working and if it's not? If you just put it on autopilot, it's like, the world changes too much. Have you had any surprises? Anything that popped up either performed better than you expected or sadly not as well as you expected?
In this event that I'm talking about right now,
Any of them? I'm just in marketing in general.
Yeah. Well, some of them we just said it wasn't worth it. Let's just continue. We didn't get the traction with those business owners. It wasn't the right venue for that conversation. We've had a lot of that again, but you're not going to know until you try it, and we're open to that. But we had we invited prospects to this event specifically, and we had 5 different companies show up, and I think we've gotten a couple opportunities by doing that. We're having that one-on-one conversation at an event versus just standing at an exhibit booth hoping they come and talk to you. So I think we are relationship driven, and just having more touch points with people, I think was a result of having prospects at our event.
Right. No, that's good. That's really good. Back to the target audience segment, I would imagine that you've had to kind of divide up your segments between the business owners themselves and their trusted advisors, getting in front of CPAs, wealth managers, whoever, lawyers, whoever it is that advises them currently. How do you have pushback, and how do you overcome that pushback from those advisors who maybe want to do it themselves or have somebody they recommend? How do you work your messages and your tactics, your overall strategy to keep a balance there?
Sure. Again, it's still education, and we're working with partners in a different capacity. So obviously there's partners we work with all the time on transactions. So they know what we do. They need us in the mix for the transaction to happen. And so we hope they think of us as, if there's any kind of referral based, we hope we get considered. But there's also a large community that don't know what ESOPs are. They're not in the community, or they're not in the investment banking M&A world. So what we do is we say, hey, your job for your clients is, if they come to you and say, I'm thinking of selling my business, I need to transition, that provider needs to say, I know somebody. You need to talk to Prairie Capital Advisors. They will talk to you through either selling your company or selling to an ESOP, or maybe nothing at all. But we educate them of, hey, who we are and what we do and our strategy. But also we provide resources to say, if your client is coming to you, what do you need to know on the surface to be able to have an intelligent conversation with them? So we do have resources for those advisors to help them talk to their business owners when they have a point of need and they need some direction.
Yeah, I love that. Prairie Capital Advisors shares a name that can be confused with other firms in the Chicago area. I'm trying to say that politely and delicately. Has that created any brand clarity challenges? How do you ensure people understand who you are, that you're ownership transition advisors, not a wealth manager at private equity like some other companies? How have you handled that? And has there been talk of a name change, or are y'all just trying to plant your flag?
We are planting our flag.
Okay.
We are not changing our name. We rebranded in 2017, and we did talk about changing our name, and we decided not. We had too much of a strong brand to change our name. But there is a Prairie Capital in the Chicago market that is in our space, and we just say, no, we're not the private equity firm. We're the ownership transition. We're the investment banker. And they're usually like, oh, okay. The funny thing is, in the recruiting standpoint, people have shown up for interviews and thought we were a private equity firm, and they've researched the wrong company.
Oh no!
So we're like, we are not that company. And I've been part of an interview like that. I'm like, we're not that firm. So I work with our team. I make sure it's Prairie Capital Advisors or simply Prairie. Like, we're very specific about our brand. We've actually had providers like wanting to do work for us give a proposal with the wrong logo on it, because they go and they grab a logo, and I'm like, that's not a competitor. That's another brand in the market, but I appreciate your effort.
That's so awkward.
I know.
Painful. We had been in business, I don't know, maybe 5 or 10 years, and another marketing firm opened up with an ownership that had our same last name, but the firm had a different name. But people would call asking for me or asking for Michael and told we're not available, someone else can help you, and proceed to work with this client without ever letting on that they had called the wrong place.
Wow.
Yeah. So at least you're telling people like, hey, you're in the wrong spot.
But we can't provide the same services.
Well, neither could they, to be fair,
Yes.
but they acted like they could. So
Nice.
that's complicated though. And there's only so many, there's only 26 letters in the alphabet. And so it's a challenge. And so good on you for kind of planting your flag and saying, look, this is who we are. And we're just going to keep reinforcing that so people know it's us. Because that's good.
The challenge with changing your name is your web domain.
Oh, yes.
You cannot find a website if you want to change your name because it's all been taken. Right. So that was a big deciding factor too, on top of the brand that we've built. But we couldn't find a website that, without being 20 characters long of whatever. So that was an interesting exercise that we went through. I'm like, wow, that's the website is important, as we all know, within your brand and your marketing efforts. So I'm like, yeah, let's just keep the website the way that it is and our name and move on.
Right. No, it is. It's a challenge and it's a big one. And when we're, doing branding work for people, specifically on the naming and logo side, we always have to check the website before we give a suggestion of names. And it's like, for client name US. I mean, it is hard. It's hard to find the right way to not make it sound cheesy and obvious that you couldn't find the right name.
Yeah.
Michael, what's your trick for that? How do you do that?
There is no trick. Naming we do a lot of that. We do a lot of brand architecture, development, and naming of companies, things like that, especially rebranding. And it's just a grind. You got to find the right solution that fits. Sometimes you have the perfect name and you're right, the wrong domain. You can't, and so what do you sacrifice? Do you sacrifice the forward facing or the back end? And how does that work? And what equity is built into whatever you're working with, So yeah, it's a challenge. It's just, I don't know. It's one of those niche things because you can go into anything and say name provider, give me names and that kind of thing. But then it's like you got to find that needle in a haystack, that one thing that represents something that maybe nobody else has. But in the financial industry, there is plenty of apexes and mountaintop names and journeys and everything else under the dozens of capstones. So yeah, and not just in your market, but the world's gotten so much smaller that now it's like a company in Seattle can interfere with what you're doing in Minnesota, and wherever. So it's a challenge. Yeah, there is no quick way, as you found out, probably the hard way.
But you're right. It's funny. It used to be the competition was just a physical entity down the street. Now it's anywhere in the country/world because we're so much more connected, and that's a challenge.
I'm almost afraid to put in searches and domains though, because I don't know if it's possible, but there's somebody like watching these sites, and as soon as you type in a search for something to see if it's available, it's bought the next day. So like if we have an idea for something, we go ahead and buy it. Like we'll buy 30 names, and we haven't even had them approved yet, just in case. Because it really didn't cost much to do it. But yeah, I think there's ways that people, I don't know what they call them, URL pirates. And that's all they do all day long is buy names, and they'll sit on them, and wait for that one person that needs it. And they'll charge 30 grand for it, and which is insane.
Oh.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Note to self, why are our domain name charges increasing at such a rate? Michael randomly buys things we don't need. Okay, got it. Noted for accounting.
I thought that was a good idea.
It is. No, it's a great idea. It's a great
Yeah.
idea. We just are now owning thousands of domain names that I got to eventually do something with. At the very least, we need to let go of the ones we don't need anymore. That's all I'm saying.
We do. Yeah. But you never know. Like I said, if it's the one you really feel good about, you're like, okay, I got to secure that.
Yep.
Yeah, nothing worse than selling something to somebody and then realizing you can't have it. I'm sorry, that was a great idea, but now we got to take it back.
Oh yeah. Wait, there's an actress that has a whole ad campaign about that right now, where she's trying to Emma Stone. She's Googling her own name, and it's taken. She's throwing laptops across the room. So I think point made, Michael. That's a good one. Wendy, you talked about the trade shows and conferences that you go to. I know everybody took kind of a hit during the COVID era when we couldn't gather together. And I think that for most companies, getting to go to those in-person events again was almost like having to start working out a muscle that they hadn't exercised and had atrophied. So what are your kind of top list of how to make the most out of those events pre, during, and post to ensure you are getting the best value from it?
Great question.
Thank you.
Well, the conference we were just at, I'm going to use as an example. So we are a lead sponsor. So as part of that, we get to know who's coming.
Nice.
So that's even great. So we can reach out to people that we know, people that we want to know, just saying we're going to be there. We are always more successful at conferences when we get to speak. And this last conference, we had 7 presentations. So getting in front of people to educate is a great way for them to want to work with us and talk to us further. So we make sure that part of my job is to make sure our team is submitting topics to speak, they get it in on time. We want to work with these associations that we're on time with everything, because if we're not easy to work with, they don't want us to speak. So one of my goals is to work with associations that we work with and make sure we have a really strong relationship. During the event, we are a people business. So we are constantly talking to people. Our CEO I love that he does this. He's like, I'm going to go sit down at lunch, meet a bunch of people, get some business cards. And he's out there doing it, because we always tell our people, like, don't have lunch plans, go to the conference lunch, sit down. And I have to tell you, I do that strategy as well. And I always meet some amazing people and I walk away with business cards, and you never know what it's going to lead to. But it doesn't have to be you're in front of the room, you're standing at a booth. Just intermingle with attendees and have conversations. We're all there for the same reasons, to meet and network. So we did a lot of networking last week, and I was sick of talking after Thursday. But it's good. And then we're still working on our post communications this week, making sure that we're documenting everyone that we've talked to, making sure the follow-up is happening, and sending that post communication of, hey, let's continue to keep in touch. We have webinars. We have all of these great things going on. Stay connected with Prairie.
I love that. One of the things that we have had great success with that I really have enjoyed, and it comes down to having that list ahead of time, so that's so vitally important, is a really good reason for people to want to come and see your booth. A specific giveaway that's kind of more higher end, whether that's AirPods or really quality quarter zip or something nice, and suggesting that people reserve it now. You're going to run out. We want to have your size and color ready. So it can't be a pen or a coffee mug. It's got to be a high value gift, right? And then set an appointment. Here's our calendar link, 15 minutes. So now people have a commitment to coming to the booth or meeting for lunch or showing up at the cocktail party. That alone, we have seen significant impact. And then whether they show up or not, you now have that follow-up of, it was so great to talk to you. Hope you're enjoying the gift we gave you. Let's continue the conversation. Or, sorry, we missed you. Should I mail it to you? And continue the conversation. I find those little things, sitting down for lunch, like your CEO's doing, getting those extra speaking slots, those little things have a significantly bigger impact than I think people realize.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's one of the biggest drops, though, too. How many people have we talked with, Jackie, that, they don't have a pre-event plan or a post-event plan, and they're just really relying on the sales team on the floor to make those things happen.
Right.
And unless you're involving the marketing department in that, allowing them to help that engine keep going, you have to keep feeding them. But I'm just always surprised by really large investments in these things, and they don't have those plans in place. They may have a little bit of something, but they really don't have, okay, here's like a post-mortem after the event. This is what we learned. This is what we didn't learn. These are our contacts that we got, and really connecting sales and marketing together in order to let that happen.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I agree. And I think that, when we think about the best way to utilize the opportunity, I think people see, and Wendy, I don't think it's you. I think you really have a good plan. But what we see most people, kind of the pre-COVID approach is, I've got thousands of people in this room. I'm going to be the street Barker, hey, come in, come in, come in, come in, with no strategy, with no approach. It's just sell. And that's just talking about yourself. And when you set appointments, when you make it a real meeting where they feel valued, they've carved out time, and you have a chance to ask questions, to understand their needs, to see where they are in their life cycle, to really get a sense of what they're thinking, then you know what information to give them, what webinar to invite them to, what book to send to them. It makes all the difference.
Mm-hmm. Well, I would think too that, and just like in anything, we talk about, fear factor in anything. People are afraid of things they don't understand, and fear may be a bigger word, but they're intimidated by it. And selling your business and ESOP, the whole thing, it may be something in the back of their mind or something that they're thinking about, but they haven't really said it out loud. And if you and give them an opportunity to have that conversation, if you introduce it for them, if you let them walk into it, then it's a more transitional way of processing. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but but it's not everyday conversations. It's like, maybe I'm thinking about it, maybe I'm not, but when I say it out loud, then it's real. Am I at that point in my life where I really have to start talking about this stuff, and then just the fear of it all, am I worthy of that? I mean, can I even pull that off? I'm sure there's a lot of roadblocks that get them to that, even making that call.
So
Absolutely.
To be clear, Michael's able to take any marketing opportunity and see it as an existential challenge. And that's what we're going through right now. Since Michael was 20, he's been preparing for his imminent demise and selling his business. I think it's another step on that path. It's just all existential challenges.
No, but I just like anything, there's always, the fear of the unknown, and I don't want to sound stupid, or I don't want to sound this, or I'm just, I'm not ready to handle that burden yet, I think it's part of that. I don't know. Wendy, do you disagree with that?
No, and it's also financial. So it's money, it's wealth, it's, so there's that, the fear of the unknown, but it's also your life's work.
Your identity, your purpose. The reason to get up every day. The number of people that it feels like we know who have retired and then declined almost immediately. I'm like, what the heck?
Or they've gone and started a new business, which I don't understand. Like they made really good money. They're done. They're retired. And they're like, I just got bored. I decided to go back into it. I'm like, no, when you retire, you walk away, you go get a beach house, you go travel Europe, you do something like, you got to find something else to do.
Wait, is beach house on the list? I thought beach house was off the list.
Yeah.
Did you just put it back on? Oh, not for us. Okay. All right. So for other people, beach house is okay. But the person who loves the beach more than anything is not allowed the beach house.
Maybe a lake house.
Lake house?
Compromise.
I like the waves and the sand. Have you been to the Gulf Shores beaches by chance at any point? Okay.
Yes,
so yeah, see, we're like 3-4 hours away to white sandy beaches and emerald green waters. Beach house, beach house, beach house. I'm just trying to plant the seed.
I like it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'll invite you down to visit when we get one.
Sounds good.
Just because, this conversation, he said, absolutely not. I hear yes. That's what I hear. That's what I hear.
That's the way it works.
Yeah, that's exactly the way it works. So, Wendy, when you started at the company, did you have a massive background in financial services and had done tons of M&A and ESOP work? And so marketing it was like old hat, back of your hand?
No. I have been in professional services marketing in my career. So I understood the selling people and expertise, but the ESOP was a new term and service line for me, as well as getting involved in the M&A element as well. So I definitely had a learning curve. I have some great people here that helped out with, and I found it to be the greatest way is to listen and hear how people talk about our business. And then I adapted what I liked, and that's how I talk about my business. But I also have the strategy, just like I'm at a conference, I can only take the conversation so far. If you're asking me some really detailed questions, let me introduce you to my colleague over here that this is what they do on a daily basis.
Right.
So that is my strategy.
No, that's smart. I would imagine that first entering, you had a great perspective as an outsider, just as your clients are outsiders. And so it gave you a chance to really see all of the marketing from that outside perspective, which is valuable because that's how your target audience sees it. Now that you're an insider, you've been doing it long enough. How do you get outside perspective? How do you see it through fresh eyes to say, this, we're talking to inside baseball. We need to change our language because we're talking too much with industry terminology.
Like again, the conference I was at last week, I walked around to see what everyone else is doing. Are we doing something? Are people doing something differently that I should think about? So I look at other people's firms and how they do it. Even outside of the industry, I kind of stay up on, I'm in LinkedIn a lot and see how people market professional services. And I see how other people do it to enhance our brand and marketing efforts. So I'm always looking for the next thing of how we can be better and we can be different. And yeah, I try not to think of like, oh, we've done it this way and this is our colors and this is how we always have to do it. Now we just launched a new logo and we really had to look at that of what are we going to change? We didn't do a full rebrand, but we had the opportunity to update all of our digital assets to have a fresh look while still being ourselves. So that was a really fun exercise to go through.
What was the catalyst for that? What made everybody realize now's the time?
Our brand, I should say our logo before was very slim and not very bold, speaking in font terms, but
right.
It was getting lost on a logo splash page. There were some challenges with just using that digital logo on several things. And our new logo is a much more prominent mark. And we've got nothing but positive comments about it. And it really emphasizes who we are and what we do in the brand that we have, or the logo that we have today.
That's good. I'm always fascinated when we talk about the catalyst, because I find that it's really invigorating for people when they go through rebranding. Was that the experience? Did you find that it kind of coalesced the team around it and got people fired up?
Yes, extremely supported internally, not only by my direct team, but for all of the employees in the firm. People walking around with their new branded items. They've been very supportive of, think of all the things you all do this every day. Everything that you have to update, social media platforms, website, business cards, everything under the sun. And even our internal systems, we have our logos. When you open up your timesheet or you open up your expense report, all of those systems have our logo in them. And so the internal teams really helped support that. I'm like, hey, here's our logo, let's update it. And so our CEO even mentioned, I walked in on the first day of our new logo and everything was updated in our systems. And he was so impressed. But it wasn't me, it was everyone really supporting our update and really embracing it. And I am very thankful for that.
That's awesome. I love that for y'all because I know how powerful that can be. It really does reinforce the team when people feel like they're wearing the team colors and the team logo, and it can be energizing. So it's a good thing, but it is a hassle.
Tomorrow is our 30-year anniversary as a firm.
That's exciting.
And we're all encouraged to wear our new branded items to our luncheon. So each of our 7 office locations are having a celebration. So it's an exciting day tomorrow. So
that is.
Sure, there'll be some photos on social media of all of us in our new branded wear celebrating our 30 years of being a firm.
That is awesome. So when this episode drops, y'all look back a couple of weeks so that you can see it because it'll have been posted by now.
Yes.
That is exciting though. And I'm happy for y'all because, professional services are some of my favorite kind of marketing. The thought leadership piece, the being able to inspire people without talking about yourself too much, but giving them information that they need. I think that's how we kind of help make the world a better place as marketers. And it's good. It's very good.
I'm curious real quick before you wrap up, Jackie, because I noticed I was looking around at your stuff, like LinkedIn, you have like 7,000 followers and then Facebook, it's 187. So it's a little smaller. Like your decision to, obviously that's where your audience is, LinkedIn. I mean, business and that kind of thing makes total sense. The Facebook, what's the reason for that? Like why have that page? Because it's a conversation that we have all the time with businesses and, do I need this page or that page? What is your decision process on what to have, not to have, and where to put the priority messaging in there?
We've had Facebook for years, and honestly, the 187 followers, that's usually our friends and family following us. But it kind of builds the internal employees. They're proud of who we are, and they'll share some of our, employee spotlight kind of posts, and then they'll share it with their friends. And I see a lot of being, able to see what's going on in our interactions and stuff. It's the pride that our employees have for the company. So again, it's not much business reason. Some people are out there, but it's kind of our culture to have that Facebook and that connection. We also have Twitter out there as well. So when we launched the social media aspect, Instagram wasn't out there. We are not on Instagram. We are on YouTube as well. And that is a strategy that I really need to enhance, one of my future goals. So, to answer your Facebook question, I think
it was a great answer. Yeah. No, and I agree. It makes total sense. I'm always curious, like, where those decisions come from. And if it's, like, when you're looking at it as a whole, like, is this where we're going to put our time and effort? What is the reasoning for it? But it makes total sense.
Any other questions, Michael?
No, I do believe in the YouTube thing too, though. I mean, what did you say the other day? It was it's searched more than Google right now, I think, YouTube. Yeah. And as far as the resource, it's the
number 2 search engine in the world. Google's number 1, but they're both owned by Google. So there you go.
Yeah. Yeah. But people are going there specifically for their searches, instead of whatever. They'll thumb through those videos like they would anything else. It's for the younger generation and an older one as well. But it's becoming more and more of a resource for people to watch things and absorb information.
Right. And our audience, as I mentioned earlier, they absorb content in different ways. And so if people prefer to watch a YouTube video versus going and reading an article, we want to make sure that there's resources and multiple platforms to engage them the way they prefer to be engaged.
Absolutely.
No, that's smart. That's good, solid marketing. So good job, Wendy. Thank you. Thank you for your time and sharing your knowledge and being so open to talk about what y'all are doing. This is the good stuff. And so I appreciate your help.
This was fun. Thank you so much.
All right. And to all of you listening, thanks for joining us and continuing to support the podcast and subscribe and share and tell your friends.
When the day is through.